Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today we are looking at 8 mistakes most new formulators make and how to avoid them. Humblebee and Me turned 10 years old last month, and that got me thinking about all the mistakes that I made when I was a new formulator. Today we are looking at 8 of the most common mistakes that I made as a newbie, and mistakes that I get a lot of questions about or hear about from my bees around the world. And I'm going to share resources and links and reading and information so you can just leapfrog right past those whoopsies and become a better formulator faster. Mistake number 1 is buying and using all of the ingredients, just way too many ingredients. When I first started formulating, my number 1 skin concern, the thing that I was trying to fix, was acne. And so I would go ingredient shopping, and if anything in the product description or reviews mentioned that this ingredient could potentially help for acne, I would buy it. I then proceeded to take this jumbo collection of sort of hodgepodgey, vaguely anti-acne something ingredients and cram them into as few formulations as possible, with this kind of idea that, you know, if 1 ingredient can help with acne, then like 7 ingredients that are supposed to help with acne in one thing will be 7 times as awesome. Spoiler alert, no. A far better way to build out your ingredient pantry is to start with a small set of functional ingredients and work with those ingredients, research them, learn both from a reading it and researching it way, but also a hands-on way, how they work, what they do, what they bring to your formulations. Slowly build out your collection of ingredients, making sure that you are researching them and understanding why you have them and why you're using them as you go. Knowing why you're using each ingredient, what it's doing in a formulation, why you chose that over something else, having those answers will help you become a better formulator, so much faster than kind of blindly following instructions. Even if it is not your formulation, understanding why each ingredient is there is a brilliant way to learn. If you are wondering where to start your ingredient shopping, I recently shared a 2-part What's It with blog and video for each part, so it's, I guess, technically 4 pieces of content. It is 10 ingredients for new formulators in 2 5-ingredient parts. So I talk you through what it's for, why you need it, what you should buy, how much you should buy. And so that is linked in the partner blog post over at humblebeeandme.com, so make sure you are checking that out. The other really big part of ingredient acquisition and formulating is ingredient research. I have a 2-part blog series on how to research your ingredients, the facts that you should be gathering and where you can find them. That is also linked in that partner blog post linked in the description box below this video. Mistake number 2 is not working in weights and percentages. If you don't already own a kitchen scale and you're really keen to get started, there is certainly no shortage of recipes on the internet that you can make with cups and tablespoons and drops. Unfortunately, measuring your ingredients this way is really inaccurate, so it's very difficult to get repeatable results, and it's also impossible to work in percentages if you are measuring your ingredients in scoops and drops. So that's why weight is important for repeatable results. But why are percentages important? Percentages are important because they are universal and they are relative. Back in 2018, I shared a post and video pair on formulating in percentages with spreadsheets, and I explain the importance of percentages this way. Percentages by weight are a universal language. Once you start to think and formulate in percentages, you will be able to instantly understand so much about formulas, and not only your formulas, but ones that you find online, in reference books, and from suppliers and manufacturers. Working in percentages is the first step to understanding how different types of formulations are structured. To learn more about formulating with percentages and having spreadsheets really do all of the heavy math lifting for you, and to learn more about how to work with scales and how to convert a formulation that you have that is not in percentages into percentages, head on over to the partner blog post. I have linked to some very helpful resources on those topics. Mistake number 3 is making just colossal batches of things. And this is so easy to do because most of us are very familiar with cooking and preparing food. And so if you were making a soup or something, you'd make several liters of it as a first go, and that would be enough for a few servings and to decide if you liked it or if you didn't. If you make several liters of body butter, that is several years worth of body butter, and if you don't like it, Yikes. Here are some of my general rules of thumb for different types of formulations. So if you're making something for the very first time, you want to start with, making a small enough batch that if it's awful, throwing it away is not heartbreaking, but a large enough batch that, if you want to be using it for a while, you have enough kind of product to let you know if you like it or not. With lip balm, I would start with about 10 to 25 grams, which is roughly 2 to 5 sort of standard sized lip balm tubes. If you're making facial oils, facial oil serums, I'd start with about 15 grams, which is roughly half an ounce. For salves, body butters, whipped body butters, body balms, and hydrous body products, I would start in the 30 to 50 gram range, which is about 1 to just shy of 2 ounces. For lotions, I'd be starting in the 50 to 100 gram range, so that is about 1.7 something ounces to about 3.3 ounces, and kind of let the expensiveness of your ingredients be your guide there. If you're making a face wash, I'd start in the 30 to 50 gram range, but for hand and body washes, starting with 100 grams is totally fine because you will use it really quite quickly. And for Syndet products, I'd start in the 30 to 50 gram range. Whenever I share a formulation, I always make sure to present it in a reasonable quantity. So if you're looking at something and going like, gosh, why are the amounts so small? It's probably because a little bit of that product goes a very long way. In order to make small batches of things, you need a precise scale. So if you are looking for recommendations on a precise scale, head on over to the Humblebee and Me DIY Encyclopedia, click over to the equipment section, and check out my precision scale entry. Our next mistake is not understanding and following recommended usage rates. Have you ever purchased an ingredient and wondered, how much of this am I supposed to use for it to work? That is where your recommended usage rates come in. This is information that your supplier should be providing you, and I also always include it in the Humblebee and Me DIY Encyclopedia entry for an ingredient. Using your ingredients within their recommended usage rate is a massive part of using your ingredients safely and effectively, so this is very important. Remember that recommended usage rates and maximum allowable usage rates are not always the same. And so sometimes you will find a product description for something like shea butter that recommends it at use of like 5 to 20% in a lotion, but there's no reason you couldn't use more from a safety point of view. Not all products will have a maximum allowable usage rate. For instance, shea butter, you can use that all the way up to 100% without any concerns. So again, this is information that I work to make sure is present in the Humblebee and Me DIY Encyclopedia, so make sure you are including that in your researching endeavors. Out of all of the ingredients that we work with when making our own skincare and cosmetics, I think essential oils are the ones that are most often overused, and also the ingredient where I think there's really the broadest spectrum of quality of information. And unfortunately, a lot of the free information about working with essential oils, a lot of the easiest to find stuff isn't very good. Essential oils are definitely natural, but that doesn't mean that they are all the same, and it doesn't mean that they're all safe to use at any concentration. I learned how to use essential oils safely in my Formula Botanica Diploma of Organic Skincare formulation. The Tisserand Institute also offers high quality essential oil education, and Tisserand and Young's Essential Oil Safety for Professionals book is a fantastic reference volume. So highly recommend that you at least pick up that book if you want to be working with essential oils in your skincare products. Our next mistake is not understanding when a preservative is necessary. I often get questions on formulations that don't contain a preservative and don't need one, saying like, why isn't there a preservative in this? And then also vice versa, a formulation that does need a preservative and does contain one, asking if the preservative can be left out. There is a lot to learn and a lot to know about preserving products and when a product requires a preservative, and how to formulate your products to be more shelf stable and to boost preservative performance. But a general rule of thumb as to when a formulation needs a preservative is if it contains water and it's going to be hanging around for a while, so something like a lotion, it needs a preservative. If the formulation does not contain water, or it's going to be used immediately, so something like a lip balm, which doesn't contain water, or something that's going to be used immediately like a clay face mask, those formulations do not need preservatives. Since this is such a huge topic, I have included links to a bunch of extra reading and fabulous resources in the partner blog posts, so please make sure you are giving that a read. It is linked in the description box below this video, and definitely check out those resources. It's a fascinating part of formulation, and every time I learn something new about preservation, it definitely sends a little bit of a happy shiver of knowledge down my spine. The next mistake that a lot of new formulators make is jumping straight into selling. It is awesome to have wanting to start your own brand, be part of the reason that you're starting to formulate and what is motivating you and driving you, but you don't want to leap right into selling to the public when you are a brand new formulator. Selling to the public is a really big deal, and kind of the way I look at it is if you haven't talked yourself out of selling to the public at least once, you probably haven't done enough research into everything that is required, all the legalities and the insurance and the paperwork. And yeah, now keep in mind, I'm saying this as somebody who did sell for a while and really genuinely did not enjoy it. I made a whole video on that if you want to sort of learn more about that. But yeah, if you are a new maker, I highly recommend waiting until you're at least a couple years into your formulating journey, especially if you aren't taking a course that covers a lot of the sort of legal ins and outs that you'll need to know, just to make sure that you really know your stuff. You just don't know what you don't know as a new formulator, and so just give it time. Have your brand be a goal for sure, but definitely don't start selling stuff within a month or two of having made your first lip balm. Mistake number 7 that new formulators make is looking for one succinct, tiny, simple answer to huge questions. If you are researching a question and you aren't finding anything remotely close to a neat, tidy little answer, probably because there isn't one. As a formulator, it depends is the answer to a lot of questions. Questions like, what is the best preservative? Or how much essential oil can I add to this formulation? Or what is the best emulsifier? It depends. What are you making? What part of the body is it for? Is it a leave-on or rinse-off product? What is the goal of the formulation? Which essential oils are you working with? It's just this giant quagmire of it depends. And so if you are looking for a simple answer to a complex question, back it up and reframe your question. And so instead of how much essential oil can I add to this formulation, it would be how much peppermint essential oil can I add to this lip balm? Something a lot more precise. And so you'll be able to find an answer to how much peppermint essential oil can you add to this lip balm. You're not going to be able to find an answer to just how much essential oil can I add to my formulations. And the last mistake that new formulators make is not just trying things, is being afraid to fail, afraid to make mistakes, afraid to make stuff that is going to get thrown away. I get a lot of questions about, well, what would happen if I used apricot kernel oil instead of jojoba oil? Or what would happen if I added this active to this formulation? And a lot of times the best way to figure this out is to just do it. Of course, you're going to want to make sure that you have researched the ingredient and checked for any big red flags. Start small, take lots of notes. But yeah, if you're wondering how a lotion made with almond oil is different from a lotion made with jojoba oil, the best way to learn that is to make a lotion with each and test them side by side and see what you think. I've linked to a video I made on this topic in the partner blog post. It's a midweek musing that I uploaded to Instagram television, IGTV, and it goes through some of the considerations that you'll want to make sure you are carrying around in your brain box as you try things. But yeah, try things. It's a fantastic way to learn. And those are 8 mistakes most new formulators make and how to avoid making them. I'd love to hear about the mistakes that you made as a newbie and what you learned from them. And did I forget something? Did I forget a big mistake that you think that newbies should be aware of and know how to avoid? Leave a comment in the comments below this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you are reading that partner blog post. I have linked to a lot of extra resources to really help you, again, with that leapfrog springboarding thing past the mistakes that I made. And yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.